thing that was presented to us even after the executive committee meeting onto the agenda that you got. But if not added already, we will be adding a point that came to our attention this evening. I'm just trying to scroll down the agenda here. So under environmental and immigration, you'll see Abby is adding, or Lisa, I don't know who, somebody's adding a point about the Buckeye pipeline. And Chris Ozick will be talking about that. We'll explain what it is and why we put it on the agenda so very last minute. Okay, so the meeting is being taped. Welcome everyone to the March meeting of the Fairhaven Management Team. With any luck, fingers crossed, our last Zoom meeting, as Abby pointed out, next month in April, we hope, yes, to be at the library, as was our tradition prior to this whole COVID thing. So we do want to remind folks that we do have some house rules, focused, no fault problem solving. We ask people who don't normally talk to step forward. And if you're a big talker like I am, step back a little bit. Open, honest, safe space is what we're seeking. Listen with an open mind and believe that everyone has best intentions. Let's try to be action-oriented, decide what we want, when we want it, and to plan to make it happen in a collaborative, Fairhaven-centered way. We're going to try to start on time and end on time, so please help us to honor the agenda. With that said, if you know of anyone that can and should be at the meeting tonight, but you don't see them, just pick up the web Zoom and the phone numbers on the agenda right at the top, drop them in a note and send it out to them. Okay, so we ask that you mute your microphones if you're not one of the people speaking, that you use the chat box. We have started the recording. We're going to call the meeting to order. Adam, our vice chair, would you please call the roll of the executive committee?
All right, Chair Lee Cruz?
Here.
Chair Diane Ecton?
Here.
Treasurer Darlene Casella. Yeah, she's waving. She's here. She's just muted. And Vice Chair me. Corresponding Secretary Abigail Storch.
Here.
And other secretary, but I can't remember the specific name of it.
Recording
Secretary.
Recording secretary present. President.
All right. Board is fully here and accounted for.
Okay, so Adam, I'll ask you to just let us know when quorum is established so we can approve the minutes.
I just say we are currently 2 people short, so hopefully somebody pops in.
So we'll move through the agenda, as is our tradition, to not hold things up, and then when the time comes, just send the signal that we're ready to approve the minutes. With that said, time for our financial report. Darlene, would you please unmute yourself and give us your financial report?
Okay, I am unmuted. So the report is the same as last month. Our balance is $5,557.04. So that's it, unless there are any questions. That is my report.
Thank you very much. And because there are no changes, we're not going to vote on anything to approve it, so on and so forth. Status is the same as it has been since last month. Okay, moving right along, we will move now to the New Haven Police Department report. Lieutenant Fumiati, are you on?
I am. Good evening, everyone.
Take the floor.
Thank you, Lee. My report is just slightly longer than Darlene's very succinct report there. So the last month, my apologies for missing last month's meeting. I think that was the January meeting. It was the beginning of February. As all of you are probably aware, I am the head of the hostage and crisis negotiation team for the New Haven Police Department. And we had an individual who was barricaded over on West Park Avenue with a firearm after committing a domestic violence offense. And we were able to get him to come out of his apartment. So my apologies, it happened right during this meeting, so I wasn't able to attend. The last month in Fairhaven has been a pretty good one for us. Crime overall is down. So we're looking at robberies with a firearm are down, a number of different categories. If you're interested in each individual category, you can check out the city website, which Abigail so nicely put on the side there. CompStat reports are available on a 2-week basis. So specifically, a couple of incidents I wanted to talk about. We had 2 persons shot in the district over the last month. One occurred on February 13th at about 9:47 in the evening. The police department responded to a 911 call for a person shot at Chatham Street at the intersection of Rowe Street. Officers arrived in the area and were able to locate a victim who was transported to Yale New Haven Hospital where the person suffered non-life-threatening injuries. In response to that, we had additional officers in the area, and so I'll touch back on that in a couple of minutes when we talk about some great work that's being done by some of our plainclothes units, especially our newly formed shooting task force. On February 17th, we had a second incident where a person was shot. This one was the first one. The individual suffered non-life-threatening wounds. This one was a pretty serious one. On February 17th at 11:37 in the morning, officers responded to calls for shots fired in the area of Ferry and Peck Street, right outside of 604 Ferry Street, which is the G-Mart convenience store on the corner. When officers arrived, they were unable to locate a victim who was transported by a private car to the hospital. This person was in very bad shape. It was not looking good. He suffered some pretty severe injuries, but the medical staff at Yale was able to keep him alive, which is incredible. We were able to get a lot of really good information off of this. Within 40 minutes of this shooting occurring, officers were able to collect significant evidence that led them to the location where the shooter was. And so our plainclothes units, the shooting task force, our plainclothes intel criminal intelligence unit moved in on the location, which was on Woodward Avenue. When the actual 2 people fled from a vehicle that they identified as being involved, the officers were able to apprehend both of the individuals and secure 2 firearms. So each of them had a handgun on them, and they were detained, they were arrested as a result of that. An interesting thing that we're starting to see coming up is one of those guns was a ghost gun. I'll talk more about that once I get to the next ghost gun that we recovered. And so in response to that, we had a lot more police activity in the area. With the development of our shooting task force and the bolstering of our plainclothes units, we're doing more proactive work at a level with a lot of criminal intelligence. And so we're getting a lot of information from the community. We're getting a lot of information from informants in order to take enforcement action on people who are specifically selling large amounts of narcotics and or carrying firearms. And so in response to that, yesterday morning, a collaborative effort was put together by the New Haven Police Department, the Connecticut State Police, the Shooting Task Force, the DEA, and a bunch of our other agencies that were assisting us. Officers were in the area of Ferry and Peck Street doing surveillance when they noticed a couple of individuals that were engaged in the sale of narcotics around Ferry and Peck Street. When the officers moved in to detain those individuals, 2 of them took off running. And again, the plainclothes units were able to apprehend them and secure 2 firearms off of each of them. One of them was also carrying a ghost gun. So that's something that's come up recently in the media. We started to find these more in New Haven. They are guns that have no serial numbers. They are guns that generally can be made with 3D printers. There's a whole bunch of different ways that you can make these and secure them. The bottom part of the gun is usually made of polymer or plastic, and then people are able to get the barrel or the slide that goes on the top part of the handgun, and it actually fires, obviously, real bullets. So that's a big concern for us. We've started to see a lot more of those. Lastly, one other incident that I wanted to bring about as far as gunfire is concerned, there was an incident of gunfire on Lloyd Street between Exchange and Wolcott Street. While our shooting task force was following up on that investigation. They observed an individual driving a stolen car shoot 3 rounds from the vehicle into the air. The detectives attempted to do a high-risk motor vehicle stop. You'll see that mostly you'll see that in movies or on generally like the California Highway Patrol. It's a pretty standard way of attempting to gain compliance from someone who's in a stolen car that could pose a significant threat to the community. This person takes off, drives away, ends up striking 2 vehicles and continues to drive away. So the detectives do a great job of pulling back, establishing some more investigative tools, and they're able to communicate with West Haven PD, where they locate the vehicle again in West Haven. 2 of the individuals run from the vehicle. They're able to apprehend both of those individuals and charge them for firing the shots on Lloyd Street. So overall this month, I know I only pretty much talked about gunfire and shooting incidents, but we are seeing a decrease in those, and the incidents that are happening, we have great communication from the community to us for information. You can always remain anonymous, and that allows our detectives to do the work to apprehend people who are carrying guns with the intent of hurting other people in the district. Another thing that I've talked about frequently is stolen cars. We saw kind of, it ebbs and flows. And so over the last month, we had 3, 7, 9 stolen cars. That's pretty good for Fairhaven, to be honest. None of them were the running vehicles. That's kind of subsided as the weather starts to get a little bit warmer. So just want to remind everyone, if you're going in somewhere, make sure that whether you're just running into the store for 2 seconds, or if anyone knows anyone or does any deliveries for Uber Eats, or anything like that, we have an issue with delivery drivers leaving their cars running while they're picking up food. Just make sure you turn the car off. I know it takes a few extra seconds, but a large number of the vehicles that are stolen in our city and the surrounding areas are people who leave their keys in the car and the vehicle's running. And so just make sure that you turn those vehicles off when you're in, even when you're getting gas. Just make sure that you're turning your car off. Otherwise, things in Fairhaven have been pretty good. If anyone has any questions, I'll put my phone number and my email on the side. Feel free to call me, text me anytime, and be happy to see if we can work through whatever problems you're having.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Do we have any questions from the floor? Feel free to put your question in the chat. Feel free at this moment, you can unmute yourself if you have a question and ask your question, put it in the chat. Or you can also write a direct question to Lieutenant Fumiati. He's put his cell phone number in the chat. It's on every agenda, including this one. We recommend that you please text him as he's kind of busy, and let him know, and then he gets back to you. There's also a non-emergency number at the New Haven Police Department that you can use for issues that don't rise to like immediate need. Obviously, if it's really an emergency, then you're going to use 911. Questions from the floor?
I just have one comment or question for the lieutenant.
Go ahead, Darlene.
Hi, on the Peck Street, Ferry Street issue. I'm glad to see that the police are around that area, because that's a really hot spot with speeding and illegal activities of all sorts. Are you guys going to be moving in a little more on that area as things based on this and other and past problems that have been noted there?
Yeah, Darlene, we have supplemental beats that are set up for the officers to stop and write reports in certain areas. That's based on certain time of day, different data that we're looking at. And so there's a couple of those locations in Fairhaven, and Ferry and Peck is definitely one of them. Okay,
great. Thank you.
Any other questions from the floor? Seeing and hearing none, we're going to move right along to
Lee, I just wanted to let you know we hit quorum while Lieutenant Fumiati was giving his talk.
Wonderful. let me just hold it then on the next point on the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the February meeting? Please say your name and say I motion.
Darlene, so moved. I motion.
Okay, second. Someone please second, say your name and second.
I second Darlene's motion.
That's Lisa. Okay, all in favor signify by raising your hand physically on your screen, or you can raise it in the reactions button.
Let's say, yeah. All right.
Okay, this is for members only, please, members. Okay, put your hands down. Anyone opposing the minutes being approved? Any opposition? Laverne, if you would please put your hand down. Lisa, put your hand down, unless of course you want to vote twice. Okay, we've got no no's that I can see. And I know typically we have some abstentions from some people from the city. So if you'd like to abstain, please do so now. Any abstentions? Don't see any.
I always abstain, Lee.
Okay, Lieutenant. Carmen, sometimes you abstain. Do you want to abstain?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so we have 2 abstentions. Anyone else abstaining? Okay, the minutes are then approved with all yeses and 2 no no's and 2 abstentions. Okay, moving right along. Carmen Mendez, Livable City Initiative. Her phone number, contact information is on the agenda. Carmen, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you very much and good evening to everyone. I too would like to apologize for not attending last month's meeting. I was actually sick, quite sick, and wasn't able to attend. So I apologize for that. If anyone wants a copy of my report, incidentally, it's 6 pages long. I won't read it all to you, but you are more than welcome to call me or text me your email, and I will send you a copy of my report to your email. The meetings I attended this past month, there was one meeting on Strong School Development meeting. It was a Zoom meeting. I'm sure many people attended that meeting from this group. I had phone conversations with Alder Miller, Lee Cruz, and Cynthia Rivera regarding 118 Grand Avenue. I've had several conversations regarding Fairhaven in general, Grand Avenue specifically, trash and debris, with Alder Miller, Lee Cruz, and Cynthia Rivera. I've had a phone conversation with Frank Alvaro Sr. regarding meetings with all the Grand Avenue merchants. It's important. Grand Avenue is very important to our community. It must always look clean, litter-free. Our barrels must be emptied. And these individuals have been very involved and can exert some influence over what happens on Grand Avenue. Phone conversations with individuals of mutual housing regarding the alleyway owned by them on Grand Avenue. I've asked them to clean that up. I spoke with Frank Alvarado Sr. to discuss the Grand and Poplar parking lot, which needs some maintenance and cleaning up. He's more than willing and happy to help us out with that. There was a meeting or a drive around with Alder Miller, Lee Cruz, and Cynthia Rivera, which is a Ward 14 inspection. And we specifically made a point to go down Grand Avenue. From that meeting, there were a total of 36 issues that were important. And I have them all written down. Everything from the Strong School trees, which need to be trimmed and cut, to Grand Avenue and Clinton Avenue, broken asphalt, which is treacherous. The back of the clinic at Clinton and Grand, which needs to be cleaned up, the alleyway between Orlando's Barbershop. I mean, there's a whole list of items that we went through as we drove by Grand Avenue, up Grand Avenue. We listed them down. So there, again, a total of 36 issues. Events planned. It's another walk up through Grand Avenue to meet with merchants and verify that all of these cases on their properties are closed. Cynthia Rivera and myself will be going out to do this. We will be visiting each and every merchant. We will again do it again in the spring, and hopefully Lee can join us, and Darlene, who are the original litter busters. If we can do that again, that would be great to re-emphasize and re-educate people on their responsibilities on Grand Avenue.
I'll be there.
Oh, thank you, Darlene. Thank you. Another one that I really want to push for, and that is the Fairhaven community-wide cleanup. Only one person has volunteered thus far, and there are approximately 12 people needed for both the logistics and the marketing committees. 6 people on each would be fine. But essentially what I'm looking for are 6 people in the marketing committee that will help get the message out to the Fairhaven community, to the community-wide marketing effort to let them know when the cleanup is going to be and how it's going to be conducted. And then the logistics committee as to, they will be discussing where the dumpsters will be placed and manning the dumpsters so that people only from Fairhaven can come and bring their bulk trash in. The idea behind it is, number one, to help people get rid of their bulk trash so we don't find it on the street.
Yeah.
And number two, an education of residents to let them know that there are appropriate ways of getting rid of their trash, and specifically their bulk trash. And in general, to push the idea that Fairhaven can be beautiful, can be clean, and we should all strive to keep it that way. Other meetings that I attended. So if you want to volunteer, which I beg you to do that, please call me. I've left my information on the chat. My telephone number is 203-410-6527. And my email is cmendez, MENDEZ, @newhavenct.gov. I'd be more than happy to hear from you because I'd like for this cleanup to happen May or June, the latest. Unless the logistics committee finds that it would be better off done at a later date. Other meetings attended were the homeless meeting task force. I went there as a neighborhood specialist, and the Homeless Advisory Commission meeting as a commissioner. Planned meetings to organize and attend is one with Alderman Ernie Santiago. We are meeting on Saturday, March 5th to discuss the issues concerning Alderman Santiago in his ward. He's very concerned about Lombard Street. He's very concerned about the regulations and hours of operations of the convenience stores in his ward and around in general. And I did get the information. If anyone is interested, I can read it off to you. Grocery stores like Lombard Deli Grocery, KB Bazaar Grocery, Guy's Package Store, Corner Mini Market, La Placita Meat Market, G-Mart, Pan del Cielo, Nino's Market. Basically, you're not, to make it short, you can open up your business at 6 in the morning, but you must close by 11 o'clock. If they're doing something they're not supposed to do, the zoning officer, Jim Tercio, who's the building department director and enforces zoning laws, should be informed of what irregular activities are going on in that particular store, whether they're selling loosies or they're selling beverages that they're not supposed to be selling, whatever that may be. He will then write a letter. Hopefully, or theoretically, the police department will offer some suggestions as to what they've been monitoring. And then, again, theoretically, Jim Tercio would have the right to send them a cease and desist letter. And the health department could get involved. The host of LCI would obviously get involved. But that's in general the information that I got from City Plan. Those stores, they can be open from 6 in the morning to 11 at night. If it becomes an issue of them being open later, please call me. I will report it to Jim Tercio. I'd like to have a meeting with Alderman Jose Crespo. That's to be determined. A meeting with the Alders, Miller, Santiago, Cupo, Cynthia from DPW, and Lieutenant Fumiati. That date is to be determined. Alderman Ernie Santiago is working on trying to pull that one together so that we can all talk about Fairhaven and all the alders' priorities and a vision perhaps for Fairhaven and what can be done about the situations we're currently facing. I've scheduled with Lieutenant Fumiati, who I think is a wonderful, wonderful person and a great lieutenant. I've scheduled a roundabout with him on March 9th. So we will be riding around and looking at the issues that are important to him specifically and his force. Community management team, March 3rd. That's today. So
you
anyway,
made it all the way to the end to right now.
Yes, that's right. I also participated in the racial equity meetings, and I will participate on it again on March 17th, and the Homeless Equity Task Force meeting. There are several open cases that I have. 548 Chapel Street, which is an old Worcester Square, actually a Worcester Square case that is yet in the process of being closed. 456 Lombard Street, 118 Grand Avenue, 229 Grand Avenue, 233 Grand Avenue. Those are open cases. Issues and concerns of the community, there is a list of them, most of them which I have gotten from SeeClickFix. And I have written a whole list of SeeClickFix issues in the back of my report. And they are what I call hot topics in the Fairhaven community. Cynthia and I also went on an inspection of Ward 14 and 15, again in general, and we came up with another 21 issues.
Wow.
So there's a lot of work to be done in Fairhaven. If any one of you would like information, if you'd like a copy of the report, I'm willing to send it to you. That's not a problem. It's a long report. I know I can't read it all out to you. It takes too much time, but you can always call me with questions and I will always be there. I will always answer my phone. And if I find that I've missed a call, I will always return my phone calls.
Carmen, I have one question.
Thank you very much, Carmen. We're going to open it up to the floor for questions. Is it Darlene? Whoever has a question, go ahead.
I just have one question, Carmen. The meeting with Ernie on Saturday, where is it and what time?
Well, I'm going to be meeting with him. Noon is probably the time we're going to meet. We have to confirm that meeting. And
do you want from the community or is it just you two?
I'm just going to drive with him around and he's going to tell me what his hot issues are.
Okay.
That's what I've been trying to do with all the older people, because you see, the situation is that I can drive around and find violations everywhere I go. And the problem is that you think you're doing the right thing, but maybe the community doesn't want you to do those things. Maybe the aldermen have other issues that they would want you to pay attention to. So I decided to approach each and every single one of the aldermen and say, hey, what's on your mind? What would you like to see me do? And that's what I'm in the process of doing. I've only been doing this for 6 months in Fairhaven. And yes. Fairhaven, there are a lot of issues. And I'd like to get input from as many people as possible so I can set up priorities that are important to people and not, throwing stuff on the wall, hoping that something hits and sticks.
Yeah.
Well, we appreciate that, Carmen. I'm going to try to move it along. Lisa, you have a question?
I just have one quick question. Carmen, if I reached out to you, could you send me the report and I'll link it to the minutes?
Absolutely, I can do that.
I'll follow up with you.
Okay, you'll follow up with me, fine.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions for Carmen? You can write them in the chat for everyone to see, or you can write them directly to her. Also remember, on the agenda, her phone number, her cell phone number, you can text her, and her email address. I do just want to, point out that I did link in the chat a wonderful article that was written about Abdullah and Jimmy. They're the two guys that walk up and down Grand Avenue every day of the week, Monday through Friday, and clean up. They are picking up garbage from one end of Grand to the other. If you see them, say hello. They're the nicest guys. Let's thank them and let's support them because they do a lot of work to pick up that garbage. They actually work for a nonprofit on Grand Avenue down further toward downtown called Emerge. And that's how you find out more about them. But if you see them on the street, just say hello to them. Okay, so we're now done with kind of the traditional report part of our agenda. And we have a special guest with us tonight. The City of New Haven, as of Monday, has a new director of city plan. For those of you that don't know, New Haven's Department of City Planning is called City Plan. And the new director is a resident of New Haven, and her name is Laura Brown. And Laura is with us tonight. I just want to remind people that she just started on Monday. So she's not going to be able to answer specific questions, and she'll repeat this, but I want to say it up front. She's not going to be able to answer specific questions about specific projects, but she does want to say hello and maybe share a little bit about the approach she's going to take in the office. So Laura, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Lee, for inviting me to be here with you all. As Lee said, my name is Laura Brown. I use she, her pronouns. I am a resident of Westville. My husband and I own a home in Westville Village, and my 5-year-old son goes to Edgewood School. So we've been living here in New Haven since 2014. And I just thought I'd give you a little bit on my background. Like Lee said, this is day 4, so I won't be able to dig into any specific projects because I'm still getting a handle on the huge array of work that all of our staff are doing. So please follow up if you have specific questions, and I can do some research for you and find out, because I know you guys have a lot of really interesting projects happening in your neighborhood. So just wanted to give you a quick overview on City Plan. Like Lee said, some of you might be familiar with us. We serve a planning function for the city, but we also have a regulatory function. So our staff, the Historic District Commission, the City Plan Commission, and the Board of Zoning Appeals. Those are kind of the 3 regular meetings that our staff attend and provide reports and recommendations on the applications that come through those committees. We also, because we're called City Plan, serve this broader planning function for the city and helping the city to craft sort of the vision for how you want the city to look in the future, not just around land use, but all sorts of functions. And that's kind of our future reaching work that quite honestly, we've been a little bit understaffed in the past couple of years, and we haven't done as much of that as I think I'd like to see our department do. So because we've been a little short-staffed, and that's one thing that I'm really looking forward to working on in the very near future is our outward facing sort of customer service function. And I'll just, I didn't give you any of my background, so I apologize for that. But I'll note right now that I came out of a background in nonprofit work and community engagement. So I worked in Hartford for the Hartford food system for a number of years. I coordinated small nonprofit organizations, and working in place is place-based work is really what I do best. So I'm very interested in that community engagement function. When I went back to school, I got a degree in urban and regional planning from the University of Wisconsin in Madison. And that sort of, I was really looking for the bigger picture of how kind of policy fits into community development work, and not just kind of working to patch the Band-Aids, essentially. Like how can we be thinking bigger picture and more systemically about the problems in our community? So that longer term function of our department is really important to me, and community engagement is an important piece of that. And that relates directly to equity, because what a lot of communities have found is if you have really strong community engagement with the neighborhood organizations and community leaders like you, it increases transparency. It allows you to better understand what projects are happening in your community. And it's really important to give community residents an opportunity to have that voice in in projects and programs and developments and proposals and whatever is happening in the community. So that is really important to me. So that's why I'm here. And I want you all to know that my virtual doors open. Our actual office hours in City Plan are 9 to 12 on Monday, Wednesday, Friday for walk-ins. And we're closed other hours because we really want to give our staff time to address all of the huge number of permits and applications that are coming through the office right now, which is really overwhelming. There is a lot happening in our city. So please drop in if you'd like, or drop an email or a phone call, and we're happy to get back to you. I did want to note that my email address in the agenda is incorrect. It's leBrown@newhavenct.gov, and I'll put that in the chat box too. I'm also going to be visiting meetings like this and listening in, and happy to provide updates, like Lee said, on more specific projects in the future. Or have my planning staff come out and do that. So really excited to work with you all. And I did want to mention, of course, we've had a couple successes in the past few months with the accessory dwelling unit and inclusionary zoning ordinance, which are really, I think, visionary for our city, and we'll be monitoring their progress and making sure they're functioning like they should be. So I think that's all I wanted to say. Oh, in terms of that longer sort of future thinking, just to keep on your radars, we will be doing a revision of our comprehensive plan that expires in 2025, and also our coastal resiliency plan. So those are things we're going to be starting to think about, community engagement strategies for both of those larger, longer term planning efforts, and certainly looking to the recent cultural equity plan as a great example of some types of processes we might use to really engage the whole community. So I welcome your feedback. If there's something I didn't cover, happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Laura. For those of you that don't remember this, our agenda is a living document. It gets corrected even as we use it. So Laura's email has been corrected. If you ever link back to this, that is the correct email. So just know that that's true. Laura, if you feel comfortable, want to drop your email address in the chat as well for people that are on that may want to contact you and who are not regularly at our meetings, they can pick it up from there. Now, any questions or quick reactions to Laura's introduction and presentation? Again, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question, or you can put it in the chat. I just see some congratulations and thanks for coming and in the chat. But and I see now Laura has put her email address. Questions, comments? Seeing or hearing none? Thank you, Laura. Feel free to stick around as long as you can or you wish, and you'll see us go through the rest of our agenda. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so Civilian Review Board, we have decided as an executive committee to put the Civilian Review Board on our agenda on an ongoing basis so that people know that we, along with other people in the city, are committed to police monitoring in a way that works with the police and works, when the police doesn't quite work the way we want. And so that's on there. And then also we added at the bottom, the process, if you look way down at the bottom of the agenda, the process to file a complaint. Now this probably will not stay on the agenda every month, but we can make it available on our website. And this is a paragraph to file a complaint of police misconduct. You can copy it and keep it, copy it and share it with people so everyone knows that this is an open process and people know exactly how to do this. Now, Jaywan Carter, who's our representative, he lives over on James Street. He will periodically be with us, maybe about once a quarter. he'll come in if an incident happens in between those times, but we just want him to touch base with us on any issues that come up that he wants us to be aware of. Any questions about that point on the agenda? I didn't actually ask, but I'm fairly certain Jawan is not with us this evening, is he? Let me just check real quick here. No, he is not. Okay, but we did not expect him, but don't misunderstand the fact that he's on the agenda is just a placeholder for us, not that he's supposed to be at every monthly meeting. Okay, moving right along from that, we're going to go into economic development update. I did see that Kathleen was on. Kathleen from Economic Development, you have the floor. Please tell us what's up.
Hi, everyone. Well, my laptop is locked up, so I'm working off of emails on my phone. I don't have a lot of updates, honestly. I'd asked my colleagues if there was something new that happened or some kind of deadline coming up. So the only new news is the brewery is going to begin operations, I think, at the end of April. I don't have an exact date. On Grand Avenue, the Mill River Phase 2A and B, that's the residential project that the Housing Authority is doing, the mixed income with some retail in the front. That is just about finished, so people will begin moving in. There will be some kind of ribbon cutting event at the end of April as well. I believe the day is the 28th. Once we have date and time, that'll be sent out mostly through the alders. As again, I think it's going to be some kind of big community event. And also on Grand Avenue, some investment through the facade improvement program. It's closer to Worcester Square, 817 Grand Avenue. Valentino Taylors from Hamden had bought the unit, the ground floor unit that City Seed was using or owned. And they're going to set up there. They have a facade grant, which is a matching grant. So it's the business owner, property owner putting money into the project as well as the city. So that'll be a nice improvement there. And I think that's it, unless someone has questions for me.
Kathleen, while you were talking, I just looked up, for people that don't remember, it is Armada Brewery that is opening up on River Street. And I'm dropping in the chat the article where they were approved, so people can see that. Any questions about Kathleen's report or anything that people want to bring up concerning economic development? Questions, comments, anything to bring back to the development staff? I don't see any. I don't hear from anyone. So I'm going to just go ahead and send you that. There's the link to Armada Brewery. And then thank you, Kathleen. We appreciate you coming to our meetings. Please stick around as long as your children allow. I know that that's key, as it is at my house. Okay, so moving right along from economic development, we're now transitioning into these categories that we created as a result of our retreat a few years ago. We haven't had a retreat again because of COVID. We'll go back to doing that. But these are categories that we came up with, and we try to fit things in here. So the first category is responsive and transparent government, economic development, and community development. And in that category, the first thing we want to share is to have Kim Harris come in. Kim is my colleague. She's the co-chair of the Newhallville community management team, or chair. Kim, are you just chair or co-chair?
I am the chair.
The chair.
Good
okay.
evening.
Okay. I want to refer to you by your proper title. So Kim has an issue that's come up that is for them in Newhallville to really focus on. but they want our support. So Kim, please share with us what you came to say.
Great. Thank you so much, Fairhaven. And I want to say that I love the website. I love what's going on in Fairhaven, and keep up the good work. I'm inspired. I'm going to take some notes back to Newhallville so that we can up-level ourselves. This is great. Once again, my name is Kim Harris, and I am the chair of the Newhallville management team. But tonight, I come to you in the capacity of the co-chair of the Newhallville Hamden Strong Committee. And as some of you may know or may not know, the APT Foundation has purchased a building in our neighborhood, which is in our business district, in our residential district, and it's in a district where a lot of children are served. So tonight, what they want to do is bring a methadone clinic. And I just want to kind of share some of the things that we're doing, because we do have a Stop the APT campaign, Stop the Methadone campaign happening in our neighborhood. And I'm just going to read some notes because I know that I have a short time and there's a whole lot going on. So tonight we're coming to ask you for a support letter stating that Fairhaven Community Management Team and its neighbors are standing by us as we move to stop the APT Foundation from bringing a methadone clinic into Newhallville. Here are some of the things that we are doing and have done. We're sharing our stories. We're sharing our stories as to why we don't want the APT Foundation to come into our neighborhood. And it's not that we're against treatment. We can't be against treatment. Treatment is something that our people need. But the location that they have chosen is not the right location. It's not the right location for our vision. It's not the right location for our views. And it's not the right location for where we're going as a resurgence of where Newhallville is coming and going. So we've been sharing our stories on radio, news. We've teamed up with the southern end of Hamden, because Hamden knows that if the APT Foundation comes in, and by their track record of what's been going on Congress Avenue for 21 years, it's going to impact them greatly with the usage of the fire department and the police department. And there's so much more that is going on. We are currently having weekly meetings. We meet with the community every other week, and we're going out and getting petitions signed. So far, our goal is to get another 2,000 for this month. And we've had lots of support with other community management teams and their support of what it is that we're doing. One thing I do want to say is, this is a hard battle. This is a hard fight. Newhallville doesn't have the funds that the APT Foundation may have. Newhallville doesn't have a lot, but what we do have is we do have values. We have a message. We have goals. And we do want to raise our children the way we want to raise our children, not the way people who may have lots of money, who may have lots of political whatever, coming into our neighborhood and telling us what we should do and how we should do it. It's not right and it's not fair. So what I want to say to you today is, we hope that we can gather your support with a support letter for our efforts. And more than efforts, for what it is that we're doing and what it is that we are going to accomplish in our neighborhood. And I think lastly, what I would end with is this. It's not just about doing this for our neighborhood. This is about creating a blueprint so that other underserved neighborhoods or other neighborhoods who are maybe overserved won't have to go through what we're going through right now. Thank you. And I'll open it back up to you, Lee, if there's any questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Kim. So I'm going to drop in the chat an article from The Independent on this issue right now. So if you want to read about it a little bit more. And a little bit later on in the agenda, we're going to have Adam come on, and he's going to be sharing a link with all of you, all members that have met the requirements of membership are able to then vote on this and other issues where we're being asked to provide a letter of support and the majority rules. And with that, then Kim and the others have been asked, and they will provide the information that will allow us to decide. Once it's decided, if we decide, yes, we're going to write a letter, then Abby Storch, our correspondence secretary, will have the information to actually write a letter on our behalf, and everyone will be able to see both the votes and also the letter that is written, if that's what we decide to do. If you look at your chat now, you'll see a link to an article about this topic that Kim was talking about, the App Foundation. I will be voting in support of this because although along with Kim, I believe that treatment is necessary, the way in which the App Foundation has managed these places and putting it on Dixwell Avenue, it would be tantamount to putting one on Grand Avenue for us. It just, that's not the right place. So anyway, so please be on the watch for later on when we go into the voting phase. Next on the agenda, we have Miss Rose Chatterton for 5 minutes. Rose will be talking to us about the Long Wharf noise complaint. Rose, unmute yourself and please present.
Thank you. Thank you very much, first of all, for having us. I'm going to introduce to the organizers of a petition letter that we started here in wards 18 and 17, but we think they affect your ward and other wards around the Long Wharf area. And it's a noise complaint to ask the alders and the mayor to have a public meeting to address strengthening the noise ordinance and dealing with quality of life issues, which I think we all have. In the chat, I just put my email address. If after you listen to the guys, if you want more information, you can email me and I will send you more information about what we're doing. We want this letter to go to the alders and the mayor. And now I'm going to introduce Sam Sigg. And after Sam Sigg speaks, it's going to Chris Avallone. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Unmute yourselves. Please keep in mind the 5-minute limit. So roughly about 2 minutes each. Go ahead.
Sam, unmute yourself. Bottom left of the screen is.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. I was trying to click on the mic. Thank you, Diane and Lee and Adam and my friend Abby. You guys don't know how lucky you are to have Abby and Armando over there in Fairhaven. We're very jealous over here. I love your historic and beautiful neighborhood very much and have a lot of connections to your neighborhood, from having a studio in Erector Square to my daughter working at Rocco's, and I could go on for a long time. But we're very grateful that you're giving us a little time tonight, because we've been struggling with an issue that affects us very much in the Annex and in Morris Cove. And what's been happening for about 7 or 8 years is that vehicles that have enormously powerful sound systems have been setting up on Long Wharf and also in your neighborhood, Criscolo Park. I've personally documented at least 3 instances in Criscolo Park, Poplar and River Streets, and the end of James Street, which is Criscolo, where the noise was the volume was so loud, we couldn't even go to sleep over in the Annex from way over there and from Long Wharf. So 1.25 miles away, the sound, the low frequency bass notes just travel right through buildings, right through stone foundations. You can't get away. You can go into your basement, you can have the AC on, it doesn't matter. You can still hear boom, 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 and it just, makes you crazy. So we've had some success with the city and with the police. There is a noise detail that goes out on Friday and Saturday night. And it's been very helpful. Thank you for sharing that picture. So as you can see, these are not DJ vehicles even. These are like beyond DJ. Those sound systems that you're looking at can produce levels of 130 to 140 decibels, which is like a jet engine or the front row of a rock concert. It's super loud and it travels very far. Our frustration is that when it goes on, you just can't escape. It ruins you can't go out back, you listen to the birds, you can't have friends over for a cookout. It's just absolutely overwhelming. And we call the non-emergency number, and we get some help when the police are available. But to cut to the chase, we've decided to create a petition to help the police have a stronger tool to fight against this. So we just want the city to increase the fines in the noise ordinance, and possibly add confiscation of vehicles for the third time that these guys are repeat offenders. The same guys are coming back over and over, and they have these competitions with each other to see whose system is the loudest. And this can go on for hours all weekend. And we don't know if it really affects you that much over in Fairhaven. I suspect it does, especially when they're, along our common border, which is the Quinnipiac River, I think up to Ferry Street. But it definitely destroys our quality of life. And so we're asking you, in a nutshell, please, if you sympathize with us and agree with us that our quality of life would increase if this would decrease, please sign our petition. Thank you very much.
Hey, Sam, was there someone else? Is there some additional different information? Very quickly.
Chris may want to speak for a second there. Go ahead, Chris.
Very
Hi, good evening. Thank you for inviting us to this meeting here. I think Sam just really summed it up perfectly. This has been going on for a number of years, and we believe we're making progress. We have met with our police lieutenant here in the East Shore, Lieutenant McDermott. He is aware of the situation, and I know they have made some arrests where the individuals had set up, they saw the police, they quickly got in their cars, and they sped all the way down to River and Poplar, where I guess they were spotted by the police, and then I guess one of the individuals got belligerent, and then they were arrested. But we're afraid that this is going to start up again when the weather breaks. I know the police are stretched, but we are trying to do everything as individuals to garner a lot of support for people who are affected by this and have their weekends literally destroyed by this incessant, unlawfully loud music that goes on every weekend for 12 to 14 hours a day and into the evening, late into the morning hours when people have to get up and go to work and are disturbed from sleep. So please.
Okay, Chris, we got it. I think we're on board. So two different levels here. If one of the three of you would drop a link to the petition you set up, that's a petition that anyone can click on and sign. That's one thing. And then there's also, I believe we have a question about whether or not as a team, we should write a letter of support on our survey that will come up for members. And I think people are in tune with this and we're gonna support you, but we just have to go through our process. So we'll do that. So if you would just
we don't currently have a plan for such a question on the survey. I could add one, but I would be curious what the specific ask is for, to word it specifically.
Adam and Lee, what we were hoping for is names and addresses of people who are either sympathetic to noise, quality of life, or actually were affected by this issue. Because we wanted to have between Ward 18, 17, 16, 14, 8, and 6, which is around the Long Wharf, people from the different wards, basically to let the different police lieutenants and the alders know that quality of life matters.
Okay, Rose, so here's the question. When people sign the petition, do you collect this information in the petition?
Yeah, if there's no signature, we don't have a PDF where you sign, like where you drop in a signature. It's your name and address.
Okay, so whatever the petition is, drop us a link. So I stand corrected. We are not being asked to provide a letter from the management team. It's just a matter of you giving us a link to your petition. and then we can then share, you can share that here and we'll share it in our minutes, and then people will sign it individually.
I just put a link in, and I don't know if in a Zoom meeting, this will open up to the petition with the signatures we've collected over the last 2 weekends, because we just started this process and now we're going to the other wards. See if anybody can click on that link and if it opens up to a letter.
No, that's to your personal computer, so it won't.
All right.
So people can copy that link, Adam?
Or they can just
they can send their name and address to
and I will
rosehair798 at iCloud.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
I'll send all the information.
Okay, so then right there is Rose Hair 798 at iCloud. Write to that petition, to that email address, and then you'll get the information.
You'll get all the information, etc. And if you would like to add your name and address, that would be so appreciated. Thank you very much for letting us speak.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next category, environment and immigration. First in that subsection of the agenda is Nicole and Anthony for 5 minutes on Save the Sound update on the Mill River Trail project. Nicole, Anthony, you have the floor.
Thanks, Lee. Hi, all. Nicole can't make it tonight, so I'm going to be giving the update, but we also have Shantasia Hicks here and our other colleague, Melissa Pappas, who's our new ecological communication specialist. Yes, we are all with Save the Sound, and I want to give you updates on 2 projects that we're working on in Fairhaven. One you've long been aware of, the Haven and Exchange Street Green Infrastructure Park project. That project broke ground earlier this year and was paused because the ground freezes and concrete plants shut down. So it was paused for weather. We expect that to start back up the week of the 21st. And construction, we expect, will take about 3 to 4 weeks longer after that. A couple things to keep in mind. I will continue to make the offer that if during that construction period, anyone from Fairhaven wants to come out to the site with us while construction's happening, you can reach out to me. I'll put my, or to Nicole, our emails are in the minutes, but also I'll put mine in the chat in a minute here. And we can try and set that up. Also, we're starting to work with the Martinez School and the Cold Spring Schools. We've been working with them for a while now. Teachers there have actually developed curricula around this site. So we're starting to re-engage and work with the students over the next couple months on signage for the site, permanent signage for the site. So those are a couple of things coming up on that project. Another one to keep in your minds is that in early May, I think, and we'll come back and if we're allowed the time, we'll come back and talk more about this. We're thinking that there will be a series of volunteer plantings, community plantings in May at that site to actually put the plants in the ground for the green infrastructure at that site that will absorb the stormwater. So this is part of the Mill River Trail. And it's going to be really quite a transformation. Anyone who's been over there, I'll drop an article in the chat. Anyone who's been over there recently, the pavement is all ripped up at this point. All the debris has been cleared except for one pile, which we're working with the city to have removed. And yeah, in a couple of weeks, construction will start back up there. So excited about that, and we'll continue to keep you posted. The other project that I want to I spoke about this last time we were here, it's the Mill River Urban Waters Initiative. So this is EPA funding that was that's been granted by Connecticut DEP to Save the Sound and a whole series of collaborator organizations in Fairhaven to do a community outreach, engagement, and leadership project in the lower Mill River watershed. That is Fairhaven as far as we're concerned. That is the focus area for this project. And so over the next 6 months or so, we're going to be doing a lot of of work in Fairhaven, some really cool stuff with community-based participatory research and community project development charrettes. What we're really trying to do here is understand your neighborhood through your eyes and get some ideas of, in the context of climate change and in the context of your lived experience, what are some areas in the neighborhood where there's flooding or there's pollution or you're just concerned or there's an asset to your community that you really want to see more investment in. We're going to work with you to refine those observations into actionable projects and then bring those to our team or to Mill River Watershed Association, DEP, the city, folks who can take those projects forward with you. The first step in that process is hiring a couple of Fairhaven residents as community leaders for this project to work very closely with us on sustained outreach and leadership of the various project elements. So the RFA, the request for applications for that is complete, and you will see it soon. I have to get final approvals on my end, but you'll see it soon in both Spanish and English through a lot of different channels, including the Fairhaven Community Management Team. These positions will be April 1st to September 30th, we think. That is the time. It'll be approximately, we think, 6 to 8 hours a week of work. And there is a stipend for each position of $6,000. So feel free to spread the word about that, and I'll share more information.
Yeah, wrap that up. Put any additional information in the chat. There's nothing that we need to vote on or anything like that. Just you're going to give us information, particularly about the jobs. We need jobs in Fairhaven. So thank you for that. Okay, moving our agenda right along here. We've now moved over. Oh, we're still environmental and immigration issues. And we have this is a last minute addition, but an important one on the Buckeye Pipeline. Chris Ozick for 5 minutes on what's going on with that. Chris?
Sure. I put in the chat the partial letter that I put in a request for us to get a hearing and adjudication for Buckeye Pipeline. So what it is they've bought some of the tank farms down on the Long Wharf, in the port area, and so they have an application for 5.5 million gallons of fuel, and that fuel is pumped up Quinnipiac Avenue, up through the Quinnipiac Marsh, and up to Andover Air Force Base and other locations, including Bradley. And so one of the problems is that this entity has a poor track record of maintenance of their facilities, and we had a spill in the Quinnipiac River a few years back with this entity. And when we've done projects like Quinnipiac Avenue redo, it cost the city a lot of extra money because they were not willing to work with us. So everybody in New Haven knows the New Haven smell, I'm sure, especially in the summertime. And it's not that smell of the ocean or the sewage that used to be down in the ocean, but it's that smell of chemicals coming out of the port. And what that is what happens, all those tanks, when they heat up, the fumes expand and they're not supposed to be released. But we all know when we drive over Q Bridge or down on Long Wharf or even in Fairhaven. So I see on the Nextdoor app last summer, people talking about what is that smell and everybody having ideas. And then some people knew exactly what it was. So that smell is full of cancer-causing chemicals. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to figure out, hey, how is the enforcement by DEP on all this? How's the oversight? And in reading their application, the only way that they monitor their tanks that expand is by visual inspection, which means climbing to the top and checking to see if the seal's working or not. So there's no odor sensors, there's no chemical sensors, there's nothing to protect us. And so what I'm hoping, what I'm looking for from the management team is just a letter of support to the request for a public hearing. And I've requested to have Spanish translation, but I've also requested that they have an informational meeting with somebody that speaks Spanish for the population that lives around the port. So it's both the port area and part of East Haven has a high population of native Spanish speakers. And so we want to make sure that they have the opportunity to have a conversation if they choose to. But I also want to have an opportunity for all of us to have a question about what is that smell and what's it doing to us? Thank you. Any questions?
Very much, Chris. Anyone have any questions about this? Chris, you can see the fumes coming out of the top of some of the tank vents. Then another, Anthony Allen, have you reached out to our team about this? By our team, Anthony means Save the Sound. And
thank you, Anthony, for reaching out to your team for me. I appreciate it. This all just came up this afternoon. So I'm asking the city health department. I've asked Mike Piscatelli. I sent it to the mayor, sent it to the alders. I think it's more powerful when the city asks also, but I would love Save the Sound involved if they feel like this is a good fit for something that they would like to do. We would love to have them on our team. Thank you.
Aaron Good put a link to a Hartford Courant article about this, and Ann Struss will also put, you can open these links and just leave them open on your computer and look at them after the meeting. Thank you all for this information. There will be a question as to whether or not we write a letter of support in our little questionnaire that will come up very soon. And if we all vote, if enough of us vote yes, then we will go ahead and provide that. And Chris Ozick would then work with Abby on the formulation of that letter, and you will be able to see it publicly after we go ahead and send that to the city. Thank you very much, Chris, for bringing this.
Thank you.
Okay,
you guys do good work.
We're trying. Okay, so moving right along now to the health category, we actually have two items. One is a CDBG letter of recommendation that is being sought by Clifford Beers. We have Luz Ramos for just for 5 minutes from Clifford Beers Clinic. And keep in mind that we have been asked for a letter of support in regards to this presentation. Luz, you have the floor.
Thank you, Lee. Can everybody hear me okay? So good afternoon. My name is Luz Ramos Ortega. I'm a community health organizer with the Clifford Beers Clinic. So Clifford Beers has been in New Haven for about 109 years. It was founded by the New Haven resident Clifford Whittingham Beers. Clifford Beers provides comprehensive services addressing mental, physical, and social wellness in order to improve health, resiliency, and quality of life for children, families, and communities. There are 17 programs and services that address everything from autism support to helping children and families heal from trauma or abuse. These services are convenient, effective care that is provided in the clinic, in the community, and in homes.
I would like to repeat the framework is have a goal.
Some of the risks.
Hey, Maureen, can you please mute yourself quickly?
And diversify as allocation.
Please mute yourself if you're not Luz Ramos. Thank you. Go ahead, Luz.
Thank you. Some of the recent accomplishments that you can see here, I can read some of them for you. Clifford Beers has evidence for new model of care that decreases cost, improve quality of care, which showing high levels of client satisfaction. We were joint commission approved in 2018. Clifford Beers has also created help for regional networks of affiliates. Next slide, please. The philosophy of care that is used by Clifford Beers is a whole family approach, putting the family at the center. examining not only the needs of the child, but the family as well. So the caregiver, and engaging everyone, schools, lawmakers, providers, anybody that the family is working with, to adopt the trauma-informed practices, moving from, what's wrong with this child to what happened to this child. Last year, year 2021, the clinic served over 5,000 children across our clinical and community programs and reached over 1,400 community members through professional development trainings and classroom screenings.
Thank you very much, Luz, for that presentation. Or did you have something else?
No, I still, I'm gonna continue. So that what we're asking for today is support for therapeutic services. Clifford Beers offers accessible mental health care, regardless of ability to pay or access to insurance. Children represent the majority of the clients served. Majority of the children and families we see experience trauma and show symptoms. And some of what we are requesting today is a letter of support. And we are asking for $20,000 to support our outpatient mental health clinic. The clinic delivers trauma-informed, non-reimbursable case management and care coordination services. And this will help cover essential mental health services for the community. So this is what we are asking for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Luz. I'll just quickly mention for those of you that don't know or may have forgotten that the city requires nonprofits seeking CDBG, Community Block Grant funding, to come to the management teams of the neighborhoods that are served by the nonprofit. That's what this is. And we take that charge very seriously to provide this letter of support, having had the members have a chance to listen to someone from the agency talk about their program. Are there any questions that anyone has for Luz? Unmute yourself and ask or put them in the chat. Seeing no questions in the chat, not hearing anyone. So this was another question. Whoop,
right, yeah, I was gonna say this is our final question of vote this evening.
So take over, Adam, right now and explain what's gonna happen.
Right, so if you are a voting member, which you can view on our Google spreadsheet or the Fairhaven Community Management Team website, there's a link to the Google spreadsheet. Basically, if you have attended 5 meetings in the last 12 months, you're able to vote. And I will add the link right now. Copy. So here is the link to the voting form. That the Google Docs document right there, and I will show you what it looks like. I will share screen. Share. All right. Randall, just checking to see if this is Google Doc form. Basically, all I need is your name. We have the 3 New Hallville and the methadone clinic regarding the Buckeye Pipe GB grant. And so you can just say yes, no, or abstain, and then click submit, and you're good.
Adam's voice is chopping up, but basically follow the link and vote if you are a member. And I just voted. I mean, literally it takes that long to do it. If you know what you want to vote in, which way you want to vote. Okay, so let's go ahead and have folks do that now, or you can open it up and set it aside and consider your vote later. We're moving on in our agenda. The next presentation is just an informational presentation for 5 minutes. We're going to give the floor to the CARE team for Fairhaven, Ruth and or Alexandra. Please unmute yourselves for 5 minutes and let us know what CARE Community Alliance for Research and Engagement is up to in Fairhaven.
Hello, everybody. As you can see, 1 second. I'm trying to share my screen. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Can everyone see my presentation?
Yes.
No.
Okay, great. Okay, hi, I am Alexandria Reeves. I am also joined by Ruth Rodriguez, Seth Everton, and Leslie Cotrina, who are my partners. We are all part of the outreach team for CARE, which stands for Community Alliance for Research and Engagement. What we do with CARE is to improve health in New Haven among people most impacted by disparities, including Black and Brown communities and low-income populations through collaborative research, practice, and engagement. And with our engagement, we work very closely with community leaders and partners to achieve health equity for the city of New Haven. We have been assigned to the District of Fairhaven, which is our reasoning for being on the meeting tonight. We have been canvassing the projects that we are currently working on through the streets of Fairhaven, and we also canvass with Cornell Scott, which I will talk about in a future slide. But we are canvassing our information throughout the streets of Fairhaven, I'm sorry, and we're just here to ask for suggestions on how to, properly outreach and market our projects. So the first project we are currently working on is the Virtual Diabetes Prevention Program, which is partnering with Yale Griffin Prevention Research Center to offer an online diabetes prevention program to the New Haven community as part of a research project. The goal for this program is to improve diet quality, physical activity levels, blood sugar, body weight status, all for people who live in New Haven that may be at risk for diabetes. So you may not have diabetes itself, but if you feel like your diet is very poor, it may be hereditary with your family, you feel like you may be overweight, this is the program for you. It's all virtual, so it's very accessible. You can do it from the comfort of your home, either on your cell phone, your tablet, or your computer. Anyone is eligible to enroll as long as they are a resident of New Haven and 18 or older. And with this enrollment, one will receive access to the online program and support from a local community health worker. So you will not be alone with this program. You will have guidance and support, someone that will help you with your dieting, your physical activities, and so forth. There will be more information available for this program. So if you are interested, I can leave my name and my information along with my partners to discuss further details, being that we're at limited time. And of course, the second priority project that we are dealing with is the COVID-19 virus. Being that it's current right now, it's still happening and it's still affecting everyone. We are always providing services and resources that are available amongst the areas. We work very closely with Cornell Scott. We canvass with them throughout the week about their events. They host clinics mostly on Saturdays every weekend, and we canvass throughout the week and just promote these events and services so that, it's the people of the local community are aware. They provide COVID testing and vaccinations for not only both the first and second doses, but also the booster in case anyone is interested. And again, feel free to, once I put my information in the chat, you can contact me and we can talk further details if you feel like this information can gear towards you. And lastly, we're just here for suggestions and tips. We're very thankful to be part of the team and we don't want to step on anyone's toes. So, if there's any areas that may need this attention, you can direct us towards that area. And if you have any ideas or strategies for outreach, we're open to all different opinions and suggestions. So being that we're limited time, just wanted to thank everyone for having us here. I know we had to make an exception today, being that it was a little last minute. So we just really appreciate you and just thank you for giving us this time. And I will put my information of me and my partners in the group chat right now. And if you have any questions, feel free to just contact us at any time.
Thank you very much, Alexandria. Ruth, did you want to just quickly say hello, just so people know, just very quickly? Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, Ruth.
My name is Ruth Rodriguez, and I've been working in the Fairhaven area since 2012, and I'm with Gather True and with the Ferry Street Garden. And I do a lot of community work in the Fairhaven area.
Wonderful. Okay, so now, well, your voice cut out, Ruth.
Oh, okay. Yes, so we just want to know where's the best place we could canvass and what's the best communities and areas in Fairhaven that need the most help. So we could be there to give them resources too.
Okay, thank you very much, Ruth. So we don't have time for an open discussion now, but anyone that wants to, you should follow up with an email to the contacts that are put there. You can also right now during the meeting write a direct message to either Alexandria or Ruth, who I think you can write to her in Spanish or at least talk to her in Spanish. And so let's get the people that need these programs in contact with the CARE staff. Full disclosure, I am on the advisory board for CARE, and also CARE helped us with the funding, some partial funding for the beautiful art on the bus stops on Grand Avenue that encourages people to vaccinate themselves. If you see those on Grand Avenue, they contributed to those. Okay, moving right along here, we're going to move to the next category, which is art, culture, and the library. I know that Kirk Morrison, our branch librarian, is away, but I believe he sent Abby a brief report. Abby, if you would please.
Yes, this will be very quick, just a few bullet points, updates on the library. So on Saturday, March 5th, Sarah Miller, our alder, will be having her office hours first Saturday of the month from 10 to 11. So feel free to drop into the Fairhaven branch of the New Haven Public Library right on Grand and let her know about any concerns you have, or if you have questions about how to get involved. She'd love to hear that. On Saturday, March 12th, from 12 to 4, there'll be an art exhibition by photos by Vanessa Suarez about Mexican Zapatista women who entitled Women Who Fight. I'll put all this in the chat, every single piece of this in the chat, but this is just updates for March. There will be a screening on Thursday, March 17th at 6:30 p.m. of the documentary Tell Them We Are Rising, which is about historically Black colleges and universities. And our Ward 22 Alder will be there. And also members of the Black and Hispanic Caucus will be there to take questions and to talk about HBCUs and their impact. And then finally, Saturday, March 19th from 11 to 12, Gather New Haven will be hosting a workshop on tips and tricks for how to stretch your groceries further and how to use some plants that might be growing in your yard, like sage, or what to do with you bought too much cucumber. They'll be doing a workshop on how to use up leftover groceries. So I'll put all that in the chat. That's from Kirk Morrison.
Thank you very much. So now we're going to move on to the aldermanic report. At the end of the aldermanic report, there's time for 1 minute announcements of any other things. And I know that at least Eli has been waiting patiently to make an announcement about an issue that we voted on a few months ago, last month, I believe. But first, let's go to the aldermanic reports. I don't know as if any of alders are with us, but I'll just call them out. Alder Ellen Cupo of Ward 8 represents a little piece of Fairhaven down toward Criscolo Park. Is Ellen with us, or did she send a report?
No, I did not get anything from her. I don't think she's.
Alder Charles Decker, Alder Anna Festa, Alder Sarah Miller. I believe she sent a report.
I do have her report, yeah.
We want to just highlight what is in her report.
Yeah, sure. I can go do that very quickly, and I'll send the full report after the meeting. But Alder Miller sent a report about budget and property taxes. There will be hearings about property reevaluations, and there's a schedule. So the board and the elders in the community will weigh in, and she's hoping that we will weigh in as well. So the hearings run from March 14th to May 23rd. And I'll send the full details will be in her report. Something quickly from her last month's report is that restoration of the Quinnipiac River Park is underway. So she'll be working with the park staff on benches, trees, repairing infrastructure in the seawall, and also maintaining the grounds. I'm going to read this one. Fairhaven harm reduction. A coalition of partner groups convened in Fairhaven by the Fairhaven New Haven Police Department District Manager Lieutenant Fumiati has begun collaborating to manage activities that present quality of life challenges in Fairhaven, including substance abuse, sex work, public drinking, and sleeping outdoors. Our goals are to provide safe, off-the-street, holistic support services for vulnerable populations engaged in sex work, those habitually drinking in public, individuals experiencing homelessness, and persons using substances. And so they're seeking to identify the root causes of the activities and work collaboratively to resolve them with existing organizations. She is hoping that some of us will want to be involved in that effort. So get in touch with Sarah if you want to. There are a lot of points on this. This note, one of the most important ones is that there'll be a Fairhaven listening session on gun violence on Tuesday, March 8th at 6:30. This was in the email blast also, and there's $25 compensation for those who participate in a gift card form. So it's very important that the city gets our feedback on how we see these issues in our own community, in our own neighborhood. I will send the rest of this out. There's a lot. He is really active in the neighborhood, and so there's a lot to report. But those are some of the highlights. And the rest of these you'll get later in your email tomorrow.
Wonderful.
Is that all right,
Thank
Lee?
you very much. Alder Ernie Santiago or Alder Jose Crespo. I know our alders sometimes have meetings. I know Sarah's not. For those of you that don't know, Sarah happens to be my wife, Sarah Miller. I know that she's in an aldermatic meeting, and though these sometimes conflict. But does anyone have a report from Alder Ernie Santiago or Jose Crespo? Not hearing any. We will conclude this section of the aldermanic reports. If you live in the ward of any of these alders, we have given you their email address and their phone number. Call them up, tell them we'd love to have you at the meeting, but if you can't attend the meeting, at least send a report. Let us know what you're doing. Okay, so we're now at the last section, which is community forum and adjournment. So I know of at least one person, Eli. Eli, are you still on? Yes, I see you. I'll recognize you for 1 minute for a quick announcement.
Thank you. I'll be very respectful of that 1 minute. As we discussed at the meeting last month, there's a businessman who wants to put in an adult cabaret, aka strip club, on Wallace Street in near the Jocelyn Square portion of Fairhaven, very close to our local park. Some neighborhood residents are very concerned, and we are organizing a sort of press conference in March. I'm going to walk from our neighborhood, Jocelyn Square Park, to the proposed site of this this business in advance of the Board of Zoning Appeals hearing on Tuesday, March 8th. We're going to do that at 4 p.m. on Monday, March 7th. I'm going to try to create a Facebook event, and then I'll put my information in the chat. If you'd be willing to come, we would very much appreciate it, because we're a very small neighborhood. I'm not like an organizer type of person. It's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I'm just trying to do the best I can. And there's not many of us who live in the neighborhood. But I appreciate any help that you might be able to give, and I'll try to put information online over the weekend.
That's great, Eli. You can drop information quickly in the chat. You can also send information to fairhavencmt@gmail.com. And then Abby and Lisa will work on getting it incorporated into the information that we send out to folks. Thank you. I'm going to recognize Karen Du Bois Walton, who I believe had her hand up for an announcement. Karen?
I do, thank you. And I was late joining, so I apologize if this was already announced, but I did want the neighborhood to know, because we're so essential in us getting successful resolution at the Grand Cafe in front of the Liquor Commission. I did want the neighborhood to know that the bar has appealed that decision to the Connecticut Superior Court, and it will continue its way through that. We've secured an attorney who's going to watch from our perspective. The main defendant in the action is the State of Connecticut Liquor Commission. So they, through the Attorney General, will defend the action. But we do have somebody watching for the neighborhood interest as well. So just wanted to keep people up to date on that, and make sure people were aware of what was happening there. Thanks so much, Lee.
Thank you. Anyone else have their hand up that I can't see? Please unmute yourself and for 1 minute, a quick announcement? While people are thinking about that, I'll call on myself and remind people that we're bringing Riverfest back after 2-year hiatus due to COVID. This is a festival at the Quinnipiac Marina. We've done every year in May. We're pushing it back to June 4th, the first Saturday in May. It'll be from 1 in the afternoon into the evening. There'll be live music, beer tasting for people who are legally old enough to drink. There'll be a food, which you'll probably have to pay for. There'll be tables selling things. There'll be an opportunity to go out on the river in canoes and kayaks, step along to the city. I think we're going to get the rock climbing wall. It'll be a great event. Saturday, June 4th from 1 o'clock on. We now have all the people that are sponsoring the event have signed on. So we got the money. We're going to go with that. Any other final call for any quick announcements?
Thanks to everybody who stuck it out with us.
Thank you. Yes, thank you to all of you who stuck it out. Please always feel free to write to us with any suggestions for how we can make these meetings more relevant or better for you. Remember that if all goes well, this is it. Last time on Zoom for now. We will be going over to live meetings starting the first Thursday in April. And Diane will be running that meeting. With that said, would someone please make a motion that we adjourn the meeting?
I move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
That has been moved and seconded. We don't need to vote on it because it's for adjournment. Thank you all for sticking with us. Have a good night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everyone.
Good night.
Good night. Thank you, members of the executive committee, for all you did. Adam, last minute adjustments. Thank you, Abby. I think Lisa left already. I know that that Diane had to go a little bit earlier, but thank you all, and to all a good night.
Good night. Thank